Okay. Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. We are now here to talk about cloud seeding. This was a topic suggested for this webinar by volunteer Wes Chuang. So let's dive in. So what actually is cloud seeding? Well, clouds are made up of tiny water droplets or ice crystals that form when water vapor in the atmosphere cools and condenses around a particle of dust or salt. Raindrops and snowflakes need these particles, known as condensation nuclei, to form, or precipitation will just not occur. Cloud seeding is a weather modification technique that improves a cloud's ability to produce rain or snow by artificially adding condensation nuclei to the atmosphere, providing a base for snowflakes or raindrops to form. Particles like silver iodide can provide a scaffold on which water molecules can align themselves into a crystalline structure, or in other words, freeze. After cloud seeding takes place, precipitation falls from the clouds back to the surface of the Earth. In the 1940s, atmospheric scientists Bernard Vonnegut and Vincent Schaefer, working for General Electric, found that particles of silver iodide can cause supercool clouds of water vapor to freeze into snow in the lab. Bernard is actually the brother of writer Kurt Vonnegut, whose fictional Ice Nine in his novel Cat's Cradle was partially inspired by the discovery. They used a small plane and seeded a cloud with dry ice floating above Schenectady, New York. They then watched as the snow fell from the base of the ice. Cloud seeding has a reputation for being fringe science because while it has been in practice since the 1940s, they couldn't prove until 2018 that it actually works outside of a lab, and still others just don't validate that research. Older instruments couldn't measure water droplet size in clouds in real time. Without knowing how a cloud evolves after seeding, scientists were unsure whether the silver iodide was doing anything at all, and the chaotic nature of weather makes controlled natural experiments almost impossible. In 2018, Dr. Jeffrey French and his team were able to test clouds in real time via airplane and confirm that the process works. So how do they do it? Cloud seeding can be done from ground-based generators or aircraft. Most cloud seeding operations use a compound called silver iodide to aid in the formation of ice crystals. Silver iodide exists naturally in the environment at low concentrations. When storm systems move through one of the cloud seeding project areas, a solution containing the small amount of silver iodide is burned from ground-based generators or released from the aircraft. Upon reaching the cloud, the silver iodide acts as a condensation nuclei to aid in the formation of snowflakes. Cloud seeding companies generally cloud seeds during the winter season of November to May when storm systems are actively moving through their project areas. During dry winters, when storm systems are absent for long periods, cloud seeding cannot occur because cloud seeding requires the presence of moisture-filled clouds. Meteorologists monitor the weather throughout the season for appropriate cloud seeding conditions. Cloud seeding does not occur during times when additional precipitation would be problematic, such as times of high flood risk or during busy holiday travel periods. Cloud seeding has been practiced by a number of countries, including India, the United Arab Emirates, the US, China, and the UK. China has used the technology dependently in dry areas of the country. The US has employed the technology since the 1940s, especially in the Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada, and other mountainous and dry areas. During the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics and during the wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, the technology was actually used to prevent rain. So while they can use it to start rain, they can also use it to prevent rain. The majority of commercial airlines actually have cloud seeding contracts with the government. Cloud seeding has been blamed for natural disasters like floods, tsunamis, droughts, earthquakes, tornadoes, plagues, famines, and may even be responsible for the changes in the atmosphere that are causing the sunsets to appear differently. How much of this is true, how much of it is an erroneous blaming, we don't really know. It's kind of hard to say. So it's no secret why we would be interested in getting more rain. We're on year 3 of an intense drought, which is part of a larger 22-year drought overall. We're in the worst drought in 1,200 years. There will be no snow left in the Sierra Nevada mountains by 2046. The drought will last at least 30 years, according to climate modeling. And then there's a 50% chance of another 2-decade drought by the end of the century. Lake Mead and Lake Powell reached record lows in 2021, and Lake Mead hit a storage last year for the first time in history. Shortage last year for the first time in history. The LA County Department of Public Works occasionally uses cloud seeding in the foothills above Pasadena at the base of the San Gabriel Mountains. As of 2016, stormwater is 85% less expensive than imported water. The department estimates that cloud seeding can generate 5.7 billion liters of extra water over an October to April season based on past results. Well, actually, I did the math. That's 1.5 million gallons, which is about 5 acre feet. So depending on how you look at it, maybe that's a lot of water, maybe not, compared to other things that we do to take in water. But for the privilege of harvesting extra water, that could cost about $3.2 million in 2018 dollars. And the region's taxpayers paid about $550,000 to weather consultants to do that. So why cloud seeding? Well, cloud seeding is used all over the world as a method for enhancing winter snowfall and increasing mountain snowpack, supplementing the water supply available to communities of the surrounding area. In studies around the world, the effectiveness of cloud seeding differs from project to project, but long-term cloud seeding projects have been shown to increase the overall snowpack. And here are some examples: Nevada, Australia, Wyoming, Western Montana. There may be others who say, no, we don't believe it, it doesn't work at all. But according to this research, they're convinced that it does, and there are plenty of agencies and governments around the world willing to pay for it. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's some pretty serious negative health effects. Cloud seeding was initially a classified operation. The compound itself is dangerous to living organisms in larger quantities, and the practice of cloud seeding can be actually manipulated for warfare. The US used cloud seeding to cause a monsoon in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam during the Vietnam War as a tactic against the Vietnamese soldiers. So that's, unexpected. The Office of Environment, Health and Safety at UC Berkeley rates silver iodide as a Class C non-soluble inorganic hazardous chemical that pollutes water and soil. It has been found to be highly toxic to fish, livestock, and humans. Humans absorb silver iodide through the lungs, nose, skin, and GI tract. Mild toxicity can cause GI irritation, renal and pulmonary lesions, weakness, anemia, seizures, weight loss, anxiety, general depression, and mild argyria, which is what you see right there, the blue or black discoloration of the skin. Severe toxicity can result in hemorrhagic gastroenteritis, shock, enlarged heart attacks, methemoglobinemia, severe argyria, and death by respiratory depression. Silver iodide is basically a dangerous drug. In addition to being a bleach and an explosive, it's extremely addictive, says chemical biologist Sam Reeves with the University of Bolivia. In concentrated doses, silver iodide offers a short but very intense high, and people actually smoke it. And potential psychological effects include sadness, delusion, and paranoia beyond the other associated health effects. So those are additional things from people who use it as a narcotic. In the environment, there are also some other negative effects because, as we said, it can hurt any living organism. According to the Colorado National Park Service and the Federal Remediation Technologies Roundtable, the results of cloud seeding with silver iodide and runoff have adverse effects on the water, soil, and flora and fauna. Elevated silver concentrations in biota occur in the vicinity of sewage outfalls, electroplating plants, mine waste sites, and silver iodide seeded areas. To effectively monitor the levels of silver toxicity at the very minimum, soil and water samples should be taken on a monthly basis from every dam, creek, stock tank, and other water capture places in the respective district while cloud seeding is being conducted. Negative effects of cloud seeding with silver iodide are not always confined to local precipitation. Silver residuals have been detected several hundred kilometers downwind of seeding events. So we know that wind and rivers, any movement of water is going to carry the silver, and eventually it's going to collect in places where other things collect, where other things dam or pool. Silver leaches into groundwater, streams, soil, and the root systems of plants. Under the guidelines of the Clean Water Act by the EPA, silver iodide is considered a hazardous substance, a priority pollutant, and a toxic pollutant. An NIH study on soil and aquatic biota found moderate adverse reactions when exposed to high levels of sodium iodide. They found a moderate decrease in cell viability for strains of soil bacteria, and that cyanobacteria was affected more harshly than algae, and that the ability to photosynthesize reduced in phytoplankton. So we can see that down to the very smallest organisms, there are negative effects, and then it just amplifies as it goes through the ecosystems as critters eat these things and then they're eaten and so on and so on. It's just harmful all the way through. So what's the future of cloud seeding? While scientists can now confirm that cloud seeding works, they still ask the question, does it create enough snow to make a big enough boost to water supply? Is it even worth it in terms of what we get for water supply? And then is it worth it for the damage it does to the environment and to people and to organisms? Scientists are looking at cloud seeding as a way to actually reflect heat out of the atmosphere to reduce global warming, or in science words, changing the planet's albedo. So the way that these droplets work in the sky, they can also reflect the heat out of our atmosphere. But in terms of what we care about, the Delta Tunnel, with the Delta ecosystem, with the future of climate change and water sustainability, cloud seeding only works if it's already going to rain, so that doesn't help us in dry seasons. And then it might actually bolster the big gulp arguments. If we cause more rain to fall all at once, the state agencies might find that to be another reason to actually build the Delta Tunnel and put that water in storage. So in reality, I mean, tackling climate change is really the only long-lasting solution, the only way that we're going to get more reliable rain and water supplies. This isn't really a real solution. Nothing that we can rely on for the long term in the future. Here's some more reading if you're interested. So that was depressing. Any questions, comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if they do some cloud seeding and there's rainfall in the desired area, does that mean that there's less rainfall in another area? So is it like a zero-sum game?
Ooh, that's a good question. So the silver iodide, when it falls in trees, it acts as a desiccant because it's attracting water to the silver iodide. So that would make me think maybe it's drawing the moisture in from other areas. It might be such a short distance in a short area that it's not going to affect places terribly far away. That's just kind of a concentrated space, but that's a good question. I can look into that for you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Are there any other questions about April 12th or anything else coming up? Just because that's such an important day, I want to hone in. April 12th, big votes, big comments. Okay, if you think of any questions or comments about the votes on Tuesday, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week with follow-ups on how that vote went and everything else going on, updates about all things next Tuesday, and then we're preparing for the voluntary agreements and the Bay Delta policies for the next month. So busy couple months coming up, but doing great. Hang in there and have a good weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye, folks.
Hi, and thank you for all you do.